Last week I had a phone call with an old rowing buddy of mine, and it's interesting what you can talk about in your 50s and 60s, and what you can't or don't talk about in your 20s and 30s. And yeah, I guess age and wisdom will do that to you. But we were having a conversation about about how things went in Seoul and losing in that Olympic final, and both of us shared quite happily and quite readily that we had gone into that Olympic final, we had engaged in rowing for as many years as we did, with the hopes that an Olympic gold medal would somehow fix us, right? That we would be better people, that we would be, worthy, if you will, after winning that medal, that somehow we would feel better about ourselves after that accomplishment. And, we both laughed, and because there's no way in hell that we would have, look out, Oakley, that we would have ever shared that when we were training for Seoul, right? Like, there's just no way. But clearly, it was a part of our DNA back then, right? It was the fuel that drove us to train as hard as we did, to commit as much as we did, and were as determined as we were to win that elusive gold medal. Didn't work out. And so, what we then talked about was just the fact that it's just a big frickin' lie, right? And the sad part of it is that it's alive and well, right? We still perpetuate that lie. And it isn't just in sport. We do it in education through, sort of dangling degrees and masters, PhDs, getting into certain universities, these extraordinary accomplishments in education. We do it in sport, big time, but we also do it in business. We just do it in life, right? A multi-six-figure salary will somehow make you good enough. A new car will make you good enough. A new home will make you good enough. It's a lie. It is a lie. And I think what I find so fascinating about it is that the research out of the Olympics, right? The research that sports psychs do post-Olympic Games with individuals, men and women, who win gold medals. And the question is, how did you feel about yourself the day after? Was it any different? And consistently, the answer is no. It was the biggest surprise coming out of the Olympic Games, that the morning after, I woke up and I felt the same. And somehow the Olympic fairy didn't come in the night and, sort of sprinkle Olympic dust on you, and boom, life's better. I think what I find shocking about that is that a young man or woman in their 20s, late 20s, maybe even early 30s, can get to that stage of their life at an Olympic Games, and there hasn't been an adult yet, either coach, parent, mentor of some sort, who has interrupted that narrative, who has said, do you want to explain to me how it is an Olympic gold medal is going to somehow magically fix you and change your life for the better forever? Can you paint that picture for me? Can you tell me how that works? Nobody asks that question. And I think, as parents, as leaders, as educators, as coaches, as influential people, it's our job to interrupt that narrative, right? I'm sorry, but a young adult cannot get to that stage of their life and still believe that garnering something outside of themselves is going to somehow fix them. It's, in many ways, it's kind of tragic, right? And when I think of my young self, chasing that gold medal the way I did and how obsessed I was with winning that thing, I just want to go back and tell him, hey, buddy, you know what? It's just not how life works. And if you don't feel good enough now before the race, winning that Olympic gold medal will not change that, right? It will not somehow fill the tank. And if it does, it will only be momentarily. So your mindset matters? Yeah, it matters. It matters. The mindset of feeling enough before we engage in ambitious goals. And don't misinterpret this, right? This is not about somehow dialing down our ambition. That's not what this is about. This is about having a healthier perspective when we engage in those ambitious ventures, right? When we set out to accomplish big goals. There's nothing wrong with that. I think what makes it healthier and paradoxically more achievable is when we don't chase those things blindly, thinking they are going to change our lives, right? That's the narrative we as adults need to interrupt, right? I shouldn't have got to the age of 59. I mean, I figured it out years ago, but I shouldn't be having that conversation for the first time at 59 with someone else, right? It was my job, and I did it as a high school coach, to say, hey guys, you know what? This will be really fun if we win this thing, but it's not going to change much. It's not going to change anything, right? Especially how you feel about yourself. And as coaches, that's our job, right? It's our job to change that narrative, to change that mindset. Whew. That one really gets me, clearly. So anyhow, take care of yourself. If you're in a place of influence, sorry, Bella, just a sec. If you're in a place of influence, get out and have those conversations, right? Interrupt that narrative. And do it with compassion, be gentle, be kind, be loving, because the chase comes from a place of insecurity. I was insecure in thinking that I could somehow fix that insecurity with an Olympic gold medal. And I needed to know better, right? So anyhow, we'll see you next week, everyone. Okay, bye-bye.